I fell in love with a married woman. I never thought my heart would choose someone I could never have. If someone had told me this years ago, I would have laughed. I was raised to believe that everything in life had rules. Right and wrong were always clear. But the heart doesn't always follow the rules we grow up with. The day I met you, I didn't know you were married. You were kind to everyone. You smiled without trying to impress anyone. You spoke with honesty, and for the first time in a long time, I forgot that I was a prince. Later, I learned the truth. You already belonged to someone else. That moment changed everything. I wanted to walk away. I told myself it was the right thing to do. I stayed away for weeks. I buried myself in royal duties, meetings, and endless work. But no matter how busy I became, my thoughts always found their way back to you. I hated myself for it. Not because you had done anything wrong. Because I knew loving you could never lead to a happy ending. I never wanted to break your family. I never wanted you to leave your husband. I never wanted to become the reason someone else cried. I only wished my heart had chosen someone else. People think a prince gets everything he wants. They are wrong. Sometimes the one thing you want is the one thing you can never ask for. So I made a promise to myself. I would protect your peace, even if it meant living with my own pain. Some loves are not meant to be lived. Some loves are only meant to teach us who we really are. Maybe one day I will forget you. Maybe I won't. But I know one thing. Real love is not about taking someone away from another person. Sometimes real love is choosing to walk away because their happiness matters more than your own. That is the hardest lesson my heart has ever learned. I thought time would make everything easier. People always say that if you stay busy, the pain slowly disappears. I believed them. I filled every hour of my day with work. I attended meetings. I traveled across the country. I smiled for cameras. I greeted people wherever I went. From the outside, everything looked normal. But every night, when I was finally alone, my mind always returned to you. It wasn't because I wanted to steal you from someone else. It was because I couldn't understand why life had brought us together at the wrong time. Sometimes I asked myself a simple question. What if we had met a few years earlier? Maybe everything would have been different. Maybe we would have had a chance. Maybe I wouldn't be carrying this silence every day. But life doesn't change its plans just because our hearts want it to. I never told you how I felt. You never heard those words from me. I believed staying silent was the kindest thing I could do. Your life was already moving in its own direction. You had responsibilities. You had promises. I had no right to ask you to leave any of that behind. There were days when we met by chance. We spoke like normal people. We smiled. We laughed. No one around us noticed anything unusual. But inside me, every conversation stayed for weeks. I remembered every word, every smile, even the moments of silence. It is strange how the smallest moments become the biggest memories. Sometimes I wondered if you ever noticed the way I looked at you. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. Perhaps it was better that way. Because if you had understood what was hidden inside my heart, everything would have become more difficult. People believe the hardest part of love is rejection. I don't think that's true. The hardest part is loving someone while knowing you must never ask them to choose you. That kind of love teaches patience. It teaches respect. It teaches sacrifice. I have learned all three. Even today, I pray for your happiness. Not because I stopped loving you, but because real love wants the other person to smile, even if that smile is not because of you. Some people will never understand that. They think love means holding on. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes love means protecting someone's peace, even if it breaks your own heart. I don't know what the future has planned for either of us. Maybe our paths will never cross again. Maybe they will. But if they do, I hope you see the same respect in my eyes that was always there. Because no matter how deeply I cared for you, I never wanted to become a problem in your life. I wanted to become a beautiful memory. Nothing more. Nothing less. And maybe that is the only ending a love like ours was ever meant to have. There is something I have never admitted to anyone. People think silence means there is nothing to say. The truth is, silence usually hides the longest stories. There were nights when I stood alone on the palace balcony, looking at the city lights. From up there, everything looked peaceful. The streets were quiet. The buildings stood proudly against the night sky. Everyone seemed to have somewhere they belonged. I often wondered where I truly belonged. The palace has always been my home. But sometimes even a palace can feel lonely. I would hear people talk about loyalty, duty, and honor every single day. Those words matter. I still believe they matter. But I also learned that the heart doesn't always understand the language of duty. It only understands what it feels. I never wanted to become the reason your life became complicated. That is why I stayed away. Not because I stopped caring, because I cared too much. Every time I thought about sending you a message, I stopped myself. Every time I wanted to hear your voice, I reminded myself that your peace was more important than my feelings. It was the hardest decision I ever made. Sometimes people believe walking away means giving up. They are wrong. Walking away can be the greatest act of love. It takes strength to accept that not every story is meant to have the ending we dream about. There are still days when something small reminds me of you. A familiar song, a quiet evening, the smell of rain after a hot afternoon, a simple smile on a stranger's face. Memories arrive without asking for permission. They stay for a while. Then they quietly leave again. I don't fight them anymore. They are part of my life now. I have learned to live with them. If I could ask life for one thing, it would not be another chance. It would simply be this. I wish we had met when the time was right. Maybe then, we would not have spent so much of our story saying goodbye without ever saying the words. Until that day comes, if it ever does, I will keep moving forward. I will do my duty. I will wear the smile people expect to see. I will carry the responsibilities placed on my shoulders. But deep inside, one lesson will always stay with me. Some people enter your life for only a short time, yet they change your heart forever. And no matter how many years pass, you never completely forget them. Years have passed, but some memories never grow old. People often ask me why I spend so much time alone. They think I enjoy the silence. The truth is, silence became my closest friend because it never asks questions I cannot answer.